What's going on, everyone? Aaron here from Happy Hydro, and this week is the third part of our Microgreens Grow series. So this week we're checking out harvesting, a little bit of a reset, what you can actually do with the microgreens you do harvest, and of course, in true Buffalo fashion, we have a hiccup. So stay tuned, let's go check it out. All right, welcome back everyone. If you guys remember from last week, we had a little bit of an issue with one of our trays being kind of a double thick tray instead of having that mesh tray in there. So we got all that cleaned up and we got it reset. And looking back in the tent now, we are up and running. We're looking good. So it's gonna check back a little bit later and bam, look at these little babes. They are growing. Oh my goodness. We are well on our way to a nice, big, successful harvest, but just when I thought things couldn't get any better, I was right, because they got a lot worse. And of course, in true Buffalo fashion, we are hit with another snowstorm. You know, I couldn't see anything, I couldn't make it to the warehouse to check on these plants, but before all that happens, they were jamming. I mean, I was so impressed to see all the little greeneries popping up and all of the different colors of these tiny little plants that we've made happen. And you can kind of notice that these little plants are a little bit in different stages of growth. You know, depending on the microgreen that you're working with, it's going to be harvestable at different rates. You know, some plants just grow faster than others. But what I do have ready are these beautiful little mustard plants. They have a little spicier flavor and they're high in nutrition. So these are perfect little microgreens to start growing because you can get a lot out of them and they grow pretty fast and you can fit a lot in a tray. You know, harvesting is pretty straightforward. We're just gonna cut near the bottom of the stem and put them in a separate container. And what I have for you folks right now is just some sounds of harvest. Enjoy this little meditation segment. All right, you feeling like a little tiny farmer yet? Well, you should be because you're doing a great job. And we're just gonna finish up cutting down this tray and you can see the plant density, which is good because we're gonna get a lot of microgreens out of this tray. We can use those for our home or we can even sell them. And you can see from this bag here, we got a pretty good amount. All right, so doing a reset on these plants isn't very hard. You know, we're just gonna make sure that we sterilize the trays if we're gonna be using the same trays. I've had people come up to me and tell me that they will often use the old organic material that is already in that tray and just kind of reseed over that. I'm not too sure about that, but if you do have any ideas or concepts that you've used in the past that are kind of like that, kind of like a reduce, reuse, recycle kind of thing, definitely let me know. But for the most part, we're just going to toss in another hemp mat in there, get it all set up with new seeds, get them nice and moist, and I'm just going to go and grab a little weight on there like we did in the first week and pop them right back into the tent. And remember, not all of your microgreens are going to harvest at the same time. They all have different varying growing rates. So what could be ready this week may not be ready for another couple days. So I got some harvest done this time, but I'm going to reset those trays and come back in a couple days to check on those pea shoots because that's really what I'm looking for. All right, and after just another couple days, we are back in the tent and it is jamming inside of there. You can see all these little plants just sprouting up. You got the red amaranth on top, looking strong. We have some mixed salad greens down here in the bottom shelf. Those are doing well, and my favorite, the pea shoots. They are just climbing up towards that light. Just you can see them getting bigger and bigger almost every day. It's crazy to sit here and watch these little green guys just, you know, max out their little trays and are ready to go. And I mean, taking a look at our trays that we reset, we can already see some little roots sprouting, but I noticed that one thing I'm having an issue with is this bottom tray down here. So I try to figure out what the heck is going on, and it's not that hard to find out. So to really add to the fun of growing, it's always a learning experience in between and during grows. And what we found here is that these trays are getting a lot drier faster because they're right next to the heater. You can kind of see they're looking a little frail, to say the least. But I'm just going to pump some water back in there and see what happens. This is the cool part of growing in your own home, right? You're able to take the time to learn from your experiences, see what works, see what doesn't work, and just kind of roll with the punches. You saw with the heater issue that we're gonna have to tend to this tray a little bit more often because of its location to the heat source and its affinity to dry out a lot faster. I should have took it as a warning sign, huh? All right, so we were able to get these little babes all watered again, and they are perking right back up. I mean, look at this 12-hour timeline. You know, here's the heater, here's the issue. You know, they're getting too warm, and that makes sense. You know, they're right next to it, so we're gonna have to take a little more care with these ones. But for the next time, we just gotta keep on moving and keep on growing. All right, so let's get into harvesting these pea shoots. Like I said, I love growing pea shoots because they're easy, they're full of nutrients, they're a lot of fun, and it kind of just gets me geared up and knowing what I want to do with them, right? I like to add them to little dishes here and there, and that brings me to my next part. Like, now that we have all these microgreens growing, well, what the heck am I gonna do with them? And the two main schools of thought, I guess, if you want to call it that, is you can either use them for your own personal use. One of that being, like, you know, if you want to up your own dishes at home, add them to the drinks that you're making, or even just like showcase them out on your little your kitchen island and say, hey, I'm a little tiny farmer and I love adding nutritious tiny greens to any meal. They're pretty much universal. You can toss them in anything, throw them in a burrito, throw them on a salad, whatever you want. The other thing you can do with them is some people have turned this little hobby passion into a full-scale, you know, kind of business operation. And what that looks like is kind of growing your own, finding what your market is looking for, and, you know, selling those to some kind of restaurants like a high-end pizza shops, cocktail bars, stuff like that. Or even looking at places like co-ops, farmers markets, where you can kind of show the world what you've been doing and how you've been growing. And I'm sure each market is a little different, but I've reached out to some of my friends in my area to see what they were looking and what they were experiencing when kind of going on their own microgreen routes. And what I found is that typically you sell these by weight. So depending on which microgreen you're selling, whether it's you know, sunflower seeds are a little bit heavier than, you know, mustard seeds or mixed greens. So anywhere from a 1 ounce package for the smaller ones to a 4 to 8 ounce package for the larger ones. And for the smaller ones that are 1 ounce, you can do anywhere from like $5 to $6. Or the 2 ounce, you can go, you know, even 9 to 10. And then you can even toss in some variety packs in there, you know, like a mix of mustard greens, salad greens, pea shoots for anywhere from $12 to $15. Now that I know what the heck I'm doing with my newfound hobby and all these microgreens, I'm on my way to harvest the rest of them. That is until disaster strikes. So we had another blizzard in Buffalo, and I wasn't able to check on the plants. Oh no! What a disaster!
Blizzard with hurricane winds and more than 50 inches of snow, pinning down western New York.
That's right. In usual fashion, we had another blizzard this year. I'm talking stuck inside, feet of snow, nothing to do but just dig yourself out and hang tight, I guess. So when I had gone back to the warehouse finally after getting through all of this mess and mayhem, I was greeted with the worst. All of my plants have died. And I'm not talking like one here, one there. All of them were dead. They were bone dry. I mean, I had little tiny plant skeletons all over the place. And, you know, we had seen some issues earlier in this episode about heating and, you know, water, and I didn't think it would ever come to this, but here we are, and it makes me reflect on it might be a good idea in the future to invest in some automatic watering systems and to make sure in case someone can't get here, these little babes are going to be a-okay. But we're going to reset and re-go and figure it out, because that's the fun part of growing, right? Is to learning what you can do, what you can't do, and then making it up in between. Well, thank you so much for following us along with the ups and downs of this Microgreens Grow series. I hope you guys learned as much as I did, and we'll catch you again next time. Stay happy, friends.